Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, welcome. My name is GBay99 and today I'm going to be bringing you guys a pretty cool Poppy gameplay that I had recently, while also talking about some announcements. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to waste any time and jump right in, starting off with the runes and masteries. For runes, I'm running flat AD marks, flat armor seals, flat armor glyphs, and flat armor quintessences, and for masteries, I'm running 2190. The reason for these runes and masteries are, firstly, I'm playing against a Renekton who deals pretty much exclusively physical damage, and Poppy does really well trading. She can 1v1 fairly easily in lane. The lack of power, the lack of presence she has in the lane comes from the fact that she doesn't have any sort of sustain, she doesn't have a reliable CC, and in the end, most other top laners can bring more to the table than she can and eventually bully her out of lane. These runes and masteries help prevent that and help you get to that late game point where once you pick up a few items, you start to really excel. Now, the laning phase in this particular game is actually fairly boring. Not too much does happen, and if something does happen, then it's fairly self-explanatory as to why it happened. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and let the gameplay roll out so you guys can see how I handle the laning phase and handle certain situations, but take the time to talk about some announcements. We'll get back into the gameplay once things pick up in the mid and late game. So the big thing I want to talk to you all about relates to a video I released a little while ago on my channel. I'll go ahead and put an annotation on the screen if you haven't seen it yet, but about a week ago I released my least League of Legends related video yet. The topic was motivation and trying to keep you ambitious when working towards whatever goals you're working at, in the hopes that if you have a good work ethic, then you'll eventually reach those goals. If you just sort of have a wishy-washy attitude towards whatever it is that you want to do, chances are you'll get deterred very easily from whatever issues may pop up on your journey there. So instead of giving you another big long speech about why it is that you should be motivated and ambitious, I gave you my favorite example in the gaming industry, and probably my favorite example period, of just how far a good work ethic can take you. Despite the fact that it wasn't as directly relevant to League of Legends as some of my other content, it got an absolutely fantastic response, with a lot of you calling it my best video ever, and reminded me of some other videos that I've been wanting to make. Now, these other videos are on topics that are either very loosely related to League, or sometimes not at all, which is why I've been holding off on making them, but with all the fun I had, I'm gonna go ahead and give them a shot. It seems like whatever I really love putting my heart into is the work that really shines for me, so I'll be expanding my horizons a bit and hopefully entertaining you all with some new videos. Now, these new videos won't be Let's Plays or anything silly like that, but instead it'll be highly edited, researched, and informative content with the same level of polish that I try to hold myself to for stuff like my Did You Know videos, and it will be about a whole number of things that I don't want to spoil quite yet. The reason I'm telling you this now is because, firstly, I don't want you to get too worried if you see something new. This channel will always be about League of Legends, but secondly, not only do I want you to not unsubscribe if you see some new, different videos popping up, but I also want you to check them out. Give them a shot. I try to make my League videos applicable and interesting for people in every rating, and I hope any new content that I introduce will be interesting and fun for my whole audience, not just whoever's interested in whatever the topic may be. Enough on that, though. You can see the new content when it comes out. I won't ramble on anymore. Let's get back into the game. At this point in the game, I finally harassed Renekton down to almost nothing, and since I have my ultimate Ignite and Ghost, I blow them all, go in, pick up the kill, and barely live without any health, really. I pop my Crystalline Flask to go ahead and heal up and finish off all the minions, but then I'm going to go ahead and back and pick up my Bilgewater Cutlass. Now, I'm doing fairly well against this Renekton, even if that was my first kill, so I immediately go in and try to harass him down some more, maybe even pick up a kill. He blows almost everything again, and I almost finish him off, so I start to look, despite the fact that there's this huge minion wave in front of me, I start to look to go back in and finish him off, picking up my second kill of the game. He's incredibly low, and I just want to go. I wish I had flash at this point so I could flash forward and Q him, but the instant that he gets close enough, I'm going to see, I don't even care if I hit my stun at this point. I try to get it, but I don't end up finishing finishing him off, he has Ignite and his ultimate, which I did not know about either, and then I barely don't finish him off. The Ignite probably would have killed me anyway, but I don't know if you guys noticed there, if I had a little more mana, my Q would have reset in time to get a final kill on him, and then who knows, maybe I would have barely lived out of there like I did the first time. He ends up taking the tower top lane and pushing down the lane, but I'm still fairly confident this game about how strongly I've been doing against him, and I'm starting to pick up a few items, which, as I said earlier, is really when Poppy starts to become a powerhouse. She's really not as good of a champion compared to other top laners. She's not like Shen with a global ultimate and a taunt, or, you know, when you think of all these other top tier top laners, she doesn't have anything that all the other ones do. She doesn't have any sustain, reliable CC, global, or much utility outside of her ultimate, but she still deals a lot of damage and she can still be a really strong character if played correctly. It's just really hard finding that nice medium of actually playing her correctly. She has really high mana costs and just a number of things that really hinder her, but if you can find a perfect balance of runes, masteries, and a playstyle that fits you perfectly, then you can actually do fairly well with her. What I'm gonna do now is go ahead and push out the lane and hopefully force Renekton to come top again, not let him go and roam and pick off my mid laner or anything like that. If he doesn't come top, then I could go ahead and take the tower, but he does, and I immediately go aggressive on him again while taking a few too many tower shots. Before the final one hits me, I go ahead and decide to pop my ultimate and go in since I have my Ignite and my Ghost again, and I do pick up another kill on him, while now I have a really big minion wave here that's about to assault the tower. That's a really huge win for me, and it started off from a bit of a mistake. I didn't necessarily expect to take so many tower hits and take so much damage, but it just goes to show that I was confident. I didn't even have to use my Bilgewater Cutlass, so if someone comes top lane to gank me, I can go ahead and use that to slow them down while I run away. Now at this point in the game, I've gotten the tower down to about half health, if not a little bit more, so what I'm going to do is keep shoving the lane, pop the crystalline flask I have for every charge I have left, and stay in lane, keep pushing, seeing if I can whittle that tower down to as low as I possibly can before Renekton gets back to lane. The crystalline flask is actually an interesting item that most people just sort of ignore it now. It got nerfed a little while ago when everyone was using it, and now virtually nobody takes it. But it's really good on Poppy, considering Poppy's two biggest issues are probably sustain and her mana, and the crystalline flask takes care of both. Now Renekton does get back to lane, and I'm going to see if I can deal a decent amount of damage to him. I didn't use the gold from the previous kill to back and buy a new item, but I'm still doing really well with my Q. It's chunking Renekton down fairly easily, and even though I should probably be careful considering I have very little mana, I'm going to see if I can just keep on harassing him with a Q here and there. He does jump forward and blow all his abilities, but I don't get an opportunity to use my heroic charge or anything to see if I can finish him off, considering the fact that I had barely enough mana for one ability. Now Renekton's going to start healing up with his Call the Meek with his auto attacks, since he has his time mat and he has a few health potions that he's just popped. So what I'm going to do is ward the river with my trinket to make sure nobody's ganking me or anything like that, and give a little extra vision to my team and go ahead and back and pick up some items. Now I already have some sustain and some just plenty of sustain, to be honest, with the Bilgewater Cutlass and the Crystalline Flask, so I'm going to go ahead and rush a Triforce. Triforce is perfect on Poppy. Every single thing that the Triforce gives you is useful for Poppy in one way or another, and it's generally the first item you want to pick up. You may want to rush a Bilgewater Cutlass and again that Crystalline Flask for some sustain and to help you out with your mana issues, but to be honest, Triforce is just a really good item. Once I see they've killed off Renekton, I'm going to go ahead and clear out this minion wave, auto-attacking, getting every CS I can to help build up towards some items, but a team fight is going to break out in our jungle, and I immediately go forward looking to fight. Poppy does really well in jungle fights because it's really easy to stun like I did on Swain, and I just completely decimate Swain with my Q, and we're going to chase after Wukong with that red buff slow and finish him off as well. Now the interesting thing you may have noticed in that team fight, well, there's a few things, but more important than anything else is the fact that I ulted Swain. I was very eager to go into that team fight because I had my ultimate up. And for those of you who don't know, Poppy's ultimate, which is called Diplomatic Immunity, is what it does is you choose a target, you ult them, and for the next 6 seconds or 8 seconds or something, I'm not sure on the exact time, only they can do anything to you. Only they can deal damage to you, only they can CC you or use any of their abilities effectively on you. Normally how you use the ultimate is you go into a team fight and you dive in onto an enemy carry while ulting the support, so you take virtually no damage and hopefully they don't use any of their CC on you or don't use much of their CC on you. An interesting thing about Poppy's ultimate that people often forget though is you actually deal increased damage to that person that you ult. So sometimes you do want to ult a carry, or you do want to ult someone that you're trying to burst down very quickly, like that Swain in the last team fight. It's something ridiculous, like 40% at level 3 increased damage. We catch them out in the jungle here, and I do immediately jump onto Swain again, getting that stun off. Once Wukong gets slowed, I immediately chase after him, popping my Ghost and my W, and eventually pick him up with a few more Qs. Lucian tries to poke back at me, but there isn't necessarily all that much that he can do. And now I have my ultimate coming up in a few seconds, and just the cooldown's almost up and we're going ahead and attacking this tower. We have a lot of momentum here, so we're going to push down and see if we can maybe take an inhib tower or even the inhib itself. I am going to be able to use my ultimate to mitigate all the tower damage and tank it for my team if I play my cards correctly, and no matter what, whoever I ult onto, even if it's Lucian, if Janna stays out of range, it doesn't matter because I do have that increased damage that I was talking about earlier. I do end up diving them and getting caught in a really rough situation. Once Wukong jumps onto me, I stun him in a really nice spot there, use my ultimate, use my ignite to finish him off while he uses his ultimate to try and get away. Once Swain comes forward, I try to finish him off if I can, but then end up barely living thanks to the heal from Nidalee as I flee away. And seeing as everyone else is occupied, I'm going to see if I can clear out these minions a little bit, heal off by auto-attacking, and maybe getting a little more damage onto this tower. The game has slowed down a little bit here. Lucian will be poking on me, seeing if he can deal some damage. I'll poke right back, seeing if I can chunk him down with my Q, but not too much is going to go on. So what I'd like to do now is sort of explain Poppy a little bit more as we end up taking their base and eventually it looks like winning the game. Poppy's a really fun champion that I had a lot of enjoyment playing. I might actually make another video on her, like a mindset episode or maybe a guide or something, I'm not too sure, if you guys are interested in that. The reason she sucks, to be honest, is the fact that she has all these issues with her, like incredibly high mana costs and all these other things that Riot has given her to make sure that she's not overpowered. Her ultimate is incredibly strong, and it's maybe even bad design considering how strong it is, and that's why Riot has felt the need to nerf her so much and make her such a weak champion. She's still really fun though, she's still completely viable if you can play her correctly, and I had a lot of fun playing her this game, and highly encourage any of you who enjoy her to see if you can figure her out and make sure that you don't necessarily give up on her as a champion. She still can be played very efficiently and played very well in normal games and probably ranked as well. I hope you all enjoyed this gameplay commentary. I have a new video coming out soon in just a couple of days. Sorry it took so long for me to get this one out, but until then, thank you very much for watching, good luck in solo queue, and have a wonderful day.